Okay, our next tune is one I never heard before by an artist I'd never heard before, and so you think, okay, yep, the music did not exist. I had to transcribe it because he's a new artist, but I love the tune, and I loved his voice. He has this really light but big range where it splits into falsetto, and you don't even notice that it's actually there. And I had a lot of a dichotomy of deciding, do I change the key to where I like to sing, or do I try to get in that ballpark, because it really changes the color of the tune. So, I am issuing the standard vocalist disclaimer. I had a cold last week, I ate too much last night, I got a really dry throat. But here we go. Is that okay? All right, so here we go. This is a tune called Smile. And there is a lick we can do together, and it sounds like this. Smile. So it's you're blowing up one word for a whole measure. So smile. Okay, that's where we're headed. Okay, David, you ready? When my head is full of questions and the sky's full of rain, when I'm worried about what I can't change, I look at my reflection, try to make a funny face, and for a second all my troubles melt away. 'Cause if we just smile, we could forget all of our troubles for a while. Thank you. We can live inside this moment. You and I get through the darkness. We'll find the light. If we just smile. If we just smile. If we just smile. Maybe we focus on the future, noticing in the past. Try to remember the good times we never had. And every one step at a time, we're gonna make it and all fine. If we stick together, we'll be fine. If we just smile, we could forget all our troubles for a while, like the whistling, yeah. We could just live inside the moment. You and I get through the darkness, so we'll find the light. If we just smile, if we just smile, when the sky is falling, smile, when the love comes home, we can take tomorrow home in style. If we just smile, we can forget all of our troubles for a while. We can just live inside this moment. You and I get through the darkness, knowing we'll find the light. If we just smile, if we just smile. Again, smile. If we just smile. If we just smile. If we just smile. Woo! E-ticket ride. Woo! It's like Leo Sarah. You got that true cowboy. Yeah, I love that.
And it's great to stand up here and look at you all smiling right now. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker this morning, who really I don't need to introduce, because Terri Wade has been a part of our congregation for several years. She's a new author, and we'll hear about that, I understand. But it's great to have her back. She's spoken here before, and I hope she'll do it again. So, Terri, I invite you up, and you can take it away.
Hello, everyone. Well, that smile was an amazing song, one of my favorite songs. So thank you, Michael, for doing that. That was great. Definitely made me smile, and I see a lot of smiles on your faces. So that's amazing. All right. So today our topic is releasing unconscious guilt so that we can live the happy dream. So if you know me, my favorite spiritual text is A Course in Miracles. And a lot of what I'm going to be talking about today stems from A Course in Miracles and removing unconscious guilt. And I'll also be sharing how the understanding of our 5 unity principles also help to release that unconscious guilt as well. And I just want to say I've really enjoyed this past month how we've learned even deeper diving into the 5 unity principles. With David speaking last week and Dr. Patricia on Mother's Day, I just really, really enjoyed, I know a lot of our talks weekly are infused with all the principles, but really having a layout of each one of the principles, I just thought was really, really nice. Just all the years of being here and getting that strong, solid foundation was really, really great. All right, so let's get into these slides. Oop, smile. All right, so what is unconscious guilt? So this is going to be a topic around happiness, but first, there are blocks that we've put in the way of happiness. And so one of these blocks is the unconscious guilt that we feel. And I'm going to say we, and if it doesn't super resonate with you, that's okay. You can just listen and take what feels right, and if it doesn't feel right, just move on to the next thing that I say that might feel great. Okay, so unconscious guilt. So a guilt that is within us from birth because of original sin. And I know when we say sin, when I first learned of it, I didn't go to church or any kind of spiritual institution for a very long time because of this word sin. And it felt so dark and it felt so heavy. And someone in high school asked if I believed in a God, and I was like, no. At the time, I was my mom was a hippie, so I had more of a hippie outlook of peace, love, and sunshine. The only thing that was, different there was I felt that we were bodies and that we turned to dust, and so there wasn't a whole lot of meaning behind that. But anyway, so back to this word of sin, I just wanted to steer clear of this word of sin because it felt just really scary. And even I got introduced to the Christian church in 2011, or 2010, 2011, and the sin from the Christian church that I, felt at the church I was at was if you are in love with someone of the same sex as you, if you are having a kid before marriage, if you love money, if you are being prideful or lustful. And, I know a lot of people that are in love with someone of the same sex. I know a lot of people that had kids before marriage. I personally love money myself. And so I think there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's a beautiful tool that can do beautiful things. And so, so when I thought of sin, it didn't resonate. So that's why I'm so glad we have unity and these, open-minded concepts of just love and oneness. It's just such a beautiful knowing, and it feels right. So when people ask about my spiritual foundation, it's really a feeling that you get, and for me, a relationship, with the oneness, the divine, the God, as we know it. So with A Course in Miracles, I mentioned I'll be talking about A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles says sin is, well, first of all, sin means, if you know Spanish or any kind of Latin context, it means without. So sin, if you say sin sal, it means without salt. And so I know I have a very little bit of Spanish, but I know if I don't want to do salty food, I'll say sin salt. And so that means without. And so the Course in Miracles says original sin is really the thought of being without God. So it's that thought of separation, and that's really the only sin that we've ever done. So it has nothing to do with the love of money or who you love or when you have a child. It's really just the thought of being without God in your life. And so that's really the only sin that Course in Miracles says. But also, A Course in Miracles says that there was this tiny mad idea that we had, and the tiny mad idea was the thought of being separate from God, and I'm going to go off and be independent and live my life without you, and I know better than you, and I'll do it my own way. And so that was the tiny mad idea, and then we had taken it seriously and then felt a tremendous sense of guilt because of that. And so That's the guilt that I'm talking about when I talk about the unconscious guilt here, is that wanting to be separate from God, that original thought, that tiny mad idea that we could even be separate from God, which is not true, thank God. God's within us always, and always guiding us and always loving us, and we have that beautiful bright light and that love spirit within us at all times. So that's always great to know. But going into the unconscious guilt, I have here on the slide, which is a little bit dramatic, I think. But it's the thought that you killed God and created a separate identity. So the word killed does seem a little dramatic, but the unconscious guilt that we feel, since words are symbols anyways, it's like we killed God, with the guilt that we feel. Because certain situations, and I'll go into why we feel this way, but I just wanted to give a little bit of context on what sin is before we go into and why this unconscious guilt comes up for us. We'll go this way. All right, so how is this unconscious guilt shown to us? So the first thing I want to do is just ask if you have ever, been in a situation where you got so upset, and then looking back in hindsight, you realized the anger you felt just was not justified for the situation. By show of hands, anyone? Yeah, everybody? Yeah, definitely. I feel like we've all been there. For me, so I'll give an example. It's kind of a silly example, but it's the most recent example that I have. So the other day, I was grabbing Chinese food for me and my partner because he had a long day at work. I didn't want to cook anything. So we got a new puppy about 3 months ago. The puppy's 8 months old, adorable. But in this moment, I didn't think she was adorable. So I got the Chinese food. My boyfriend said he was on his way home. I hopped in the shower. I closed the lid on the Chinese food, thinking it was fine. I put it in the middle of the dining room table, and she knows, you don't go on the dining room table. At least I thought she knew. You don't go on the dining room table. And so I thought the lid was closed. It's in the middle of the dining room table. I'm going to hop in the shower. My boyfriend will be here any minute. And then as I'm in the shower, I'm thinking, maybe I should have put the food on top of the microwave, just in case. And I was like, no, she knows better. She's not going to get into the Chinese food. And so I get out of the shower, and lo and behold, guess. Yeah, Chinese food is gone. Little crumbs of rice are everywhere. And I was so upset. I didn't want to cook. I thought I did a grand gesture to bring this delicious Chinese food, our favorite place. And so I was really upset. I was yelling at her. I made her go outside. And then I realized after, I felt guilty because I had that intuitive thought, maybe I should put it in the microwave, but I didn't. So I was, feeling guilty with myself that I didn't follow that intuitive nudge. I was also, projecting. So for me, I feel like I was projecting a lot of anger onto this innocent little dog, but it was more than that. It was deeper than that, and it's really because of this unconscious guilt. So Course in Miracles says, I'm never upset for the reason I think. This is lesson 5 in Course in Miracles, and so we think it's because the dog ate the Chinese food, but it's a puppy. Puppies get into things, and so if it's really not that big of a deal. So looking back in hindsight, I can realize, okay, it's really not that big of a deal. He ended up grabbing some In-N-Out on the way home, so we all win. But I was really upset, and so I realized it was this unconscious guilt, and this is a silly example of my puppy, but we can think about it if someone wronged us at work, or someone we live with is maybe being a mess and not cleaning up after themselves, or we felt like someone wronged us or someone we love, and we maybe have these thoughts of like, oh, I hate them, or oh, I just want to kill that person. And it's not like you actually want to kill that person, but you just have that really negative, deep-seated unconscious guilt that's within us that comes out in these type of situations. So I wrote here on this slide, it says, everything you think about another is a projection that could be within us. So we don't want to, this is from Course in Miracles, and it just feels so true to me, but we don't want to hold on to that guilt or feel that guilt because it doesn't feel good. So what we want to do is we want to project it onto someone or something else, so we're not having to take the burden of the guilt. And so we'll a lot of times project that guilt onto someone else. But then when we really realize that we are all one, like these unity principles that we talk about, we're all one. So if we realize someone made a mistake, and I've made mistakes in the past. And so how we think of another, we really will think of ourselves because of that knowingness, subconsciously, deep in our heart that we are one. Then, we can realize they can make mistakes, I can make mistakes. I know, like Jesus said, whoever is without sin, throw the first stone. And so then we can really realize, we're all, here just having this human experience. And with that, so Course in Miracles also says, in that tiny mad idea, the ego came in, and so the ego is the part of us that it's not real, but it seems to be real because we made it this real entity that that has the comparison. We might notice we're comparing ourselves. I should be further along, or they have this and they have that, and so that ego part of us, that's the one that has those attack thoughts and that guilt. But we know in truth that I am the God presence. That's the unity spiritual principle, the first one that we have. All right, so this is basically how it's shown to us. So it's shown to us through, us projecting guilt on other people, whether it's, a political leader, whether it's your puppy, whether it's your lover, whether it's, roommate or someone like that. That's how it's really shown to us. And so now what I want to talk about is how do we release this unconscious guilt? So now we know a little bit about what unconscious guilt is and how it was formed and how it came to be. And then now I really want to talk about how we can release it. So I have a couple pointers here. The first one says, knowing your brother is your savior. And so this sounds really interesting because if it's somebody that you see as very guilty or someone that's really wrong, then you get to see those emotions being brought up in yourself, and you can, let yourself, don't judge yourself if you do feel anger. Let yourself feel the anger, let it come up, and then you can release it. But knowing your brother is your savior is basically letting them see what's inside of you and what's being brought up. So if it's being brought up that, the world's a bad place, or, these people are guilty, these people, cannot be forgiven, or these people, you get to see, where your mind's at and where your head's at, and you get to see them. Really, what I like to do, and Marianne Williamson says, she was a Course in Miracles teacher, return to love, because it's either people are acting out of love or it's a call for love. And so what we can do is we can really just empathize with that person, and more so just realize that they are a child of God, just like we're a child of God. And if they're doing something, it's either a call for love and they've made a mistake. And if we take it so seriously that they are a bad person, they should not be forgiven, unconsciously we're going to tell ourselves that we should not be forgiven and we don't deserve forgiveness, because we are all one. And subconsciously, if we think that they don't deserve it, we're going to think that we don't deserve it as well. So I did mention, welcome what comes up, so allow it to come up. Because sometimes, and I used to do this, I just wanted to be in a good mood, and I was really big into law of attraction and manifestation, and so when a negative thought would pop up, I would sweep it under the rug. Because I was like, nope, I want to be in a high vibe. I don't want to manifest any of that. And so I would sweep it under the rug. And now I'm really realizing it's so important to let those emotions come up and really feel it. And so my mom used to say, feel it to heal it. And I believe it's so true, because it needs to come out of us. There's this other book she loved called The Body Keeps the Score. And it will stay in us. And then we'll even project more onto other people. And so, let it come up. See it. And another way in seeing it is you can step away from being one with that thought. So what you can do is I'm going to take a sip of water really fast, guys. Okay, so what you can do is you can see the thought, be the awareness of the thought coming up. So you're not one with the thought of anger, one with the thought of sadness, one with the thought of anger, guilt, blame, shame, any of those emotions that aren't that high vibe, but you are feeling them. So we're not judging ourselves, we're letting ourselves feel them, but we're watching, we're being that gentle observer, which is a term from A Course in Miracles. We're observing the thought come and go just out of our mind and not fusing with it. But you're letting it come out so you can release it, because we are humans having this human experience. And so that's one way of how we can just release it. And then really noticing that you are the awareness of that thought. So I know in meditation, I've definitely felt it where I'm in that stillness and in that presence, and I can see the thoughts, or feel the thoughts coming in and out of my mind, and I'm witnessing it. So it's kind of like, I know Shakespeare talks about like life is like a play, and so we can be the person in the movie theater, like watching, for me, like Terry's life just playing, and I don't have to fuse with it so much, so I'm getting so involved in maybe like the sadness or the anger of the world. And so so that was a little bit about releasing unconscious guilt. And I just wanted to say that the next thing I want to do is to do a meditation with us. So this is going to be a meditation where there's going to be some guided visualization, and then we're going to take a moment of silence where we can just connect with God and be in that stillness and quiet and love presence. So if everyone wants to get comfortable and relax your chest, relax your stomach, and just take some deep breaths in and out. And as you're relaxing deeper and deeper into your seat, I want you to imagine a beautiful, warm, golden light that is in your heart center. And take a deep breath, and you're breathing in that peace and that love of God. And as you exhale, you are expanding that beautiful golden light within you, and it is expanding outside of your body, and you are just feeling the expansion, feeling the love grow inside of you and expand it outside of you. And imagine that beautiful golden light expanding outside of our Unity Spiritual Center, out past San Francisco Bay Area. And every time it grows, you're touching everyone that is in the presence with that beautiful golden light of love, peace, and comfort. And you are taking deep breaths and relaxing deeper in your seat and letting that beautiful golden light expand past California, past the world, and consuming the entire universe across all space and time into the eternal always. And just breathing in, being an embodiment of that beautiful light, and knowing that in this stillness is the love and the peace of God. And just being in the moment and breathing in that you are one with the Creator, all that is. Knowing that all is well and that you are loved. And as we just sit in this beautiful moment of quietness with God, we'll just embrace the moment for a few minutes. All right, and whenever you are ready, you can come back and bring your awareness into the room. I hope that you enjoyed that moment of being with God, and know that that moment is there for you all the time, anytime you want it. God loves you so much and wants that relationship with you. And I just wanted to end my talk on unconscious guilt, just saying that I do have a book called A to Z Happy, and it does talk a lot about A Course in Miracles and forgiveness, removing the guilt, so we can really come back to that place of our being, of joy and happiness. So if anyone's interested in that, I'll just be out by the welcome desk in the front. And any questions on A Course in Miracles or the talk today, I'd be so happy to answer them. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Terri. We will certainly carry those words with us through the weeks to come, I'm sure. And congratulations on the book. So here at Unity Spiritual Center, what are we? We are an ocean of love. We have an inspiring vision, an exciting mission, and compelling values by which we strive to live. Each week we'll join together in saying one of our statements. So please join me in saying this week's statement, which is on the screen, or will be in a moment. Our values are: we are spirit-led, generous with resources, inclusive, joyously creative, and guided by integrity. And in this space, feeling so inspired by our vision, mission, and those values that we just spoke, and feeling so enriched by what we've experienced here today, let us take time now to be a channel for enrichment through our generous tithes and love offerings. Michael will share another song with us, and during that time you are invited to support this congregation with a check made out to USC or cash, or by making a donation online. If you are here in the sanctuary, our usher will come forward to take your offering, as she's already doing. And practicing the principle of tithing ourselves as a spiritual community, we are pleased to tithe 10% of the offering collected every Sunday to various Unity organizations and local nonprofits serving our city. So let us now take a moment to bless our tithes and love offerings. So cup them in your hands or hold them next to your hearts, and we will say the offering blessing which is on your screen. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God.
Okay, I've got another goodie, and I need you guys to sing this little refrain that happens every now and then. And that sounds like this. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Okay, is everybody okay with that? You know, it's one of those things. It's a magical hook that unfortunately when you leave here today, you'll be sitting there making spaghetti and going, oh, oh, Hatfield, Terry, gosh darn it, you turned my day into this. Okay, this is by the same woman that wrote All About That Bass. It's all about that bass, no treble, okay? So she writes hooky songs. All right, you ready? Oh yeah! Anybody wants to join in? Here we go. 2, 3, up. I ain't trying to think about all my problems. I'm living now. I'm living now. I can't stand and worry about the future. I'm living now. I'm living now. So put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you got no cares at all. Raise your cups if you got no work tomorrow. We don't. Put your hands up if you really have some fun. Come on, sing it. Whoa, it feels so good to be alive. Feel good, come on, do it again. Whoa, it feels so good to be alive. I'm gonna wake up every day like it's Christmas, gonna celebrate this life that I'm living from now on. I'm gonna tell my mother every day I love her, gonna tell her that thanks for being such a good mother from now on. Come on, so put your hands up if you feel like having a good time. Put your hands up if you got no cares at all. Raise your cups if you got no work tomorrow. Put your hands up if you're ready to have some fun. Come on, sing it now. Whoa, oh, it feels so good to be alive. Do that again. Whoa, oh, it feels so good to be alive. Yes, it does. Feels good, don't it? Living your life in this quick moment, and you never ever think it's gonna go away. But I swear I know you'll wake up someday and say, yeah, I got things to do. Yeah, I got mountains to move. And it ain't about how sad it can be, it's about how good it should be. Come on now. It feels good, don't it? It feels good, don't it? You only get one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? It feels good, don't it? You only got one life, live in the moment. It feels good, don't it? It feels good, don't it? You only got one life. Sing it now. Whoa, oh, it feels so good to be alive. Whoa, it feels so good to be alive. Don't it feel good? Oh, it feels so good to be alive. One more time with me, come on. Whoa, it feels so good to be alive. It feels good, don't it? It feels good, don't it? You only get one life, live in the moment. It feels good, don't it? It feels good, don't it? You only got one life, live in the moment. Oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. Sing with me one more time. Whoa, oh, 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 it feels so good to be alive. All right then.
Oh, it is catchy.
I'm going to get that Terri Wade. I'm going to get her.
Let us bless our tithes and love offerings now. Spirit of the living God, bless the acts of our hands, our minds, our hearts. May everything offered here at Unity Spiritual Center be a reflection of all that is good within us. Grant us the courage to patiently listen for the stirring of your presence. Enliven our spirits with humor. Fill us with reverence for one another and gratitude for our diversity. May unity, beauty, and truth be the fruit of all we do, and so it is. Amen.